The biggest misconception in relationships is that love and passion is the thing that holds it together, and nothing can be further from the truth. The only thing that holds a relationship together is mutual respect.
It's been said, happy wife, happy life. I think that's ridiculous. Yes, you want your wife to be happy, but that's ultimately her choice. Can you provide an environment where it's easier for her to feel safe so she can feel happy?
Everything that you desire, everything that you value can't be waiting for you at an artificial finish line. I thought I could carry everything, and it broke me. It's really not the weight that you're carrying, it's how you're carrying it.
Yeah.
And when you realize it's not yours to carry, everything changes.
Welcome to the Sell Anything podcast. Dude, I got Michael Hunter here with me, man. For those that don't know you, you've done some pretty incredible stuff. Give us a basic overview of who Michael is. And why are you on here? What are we selling? What are we doing?
Yeah, well, I mean, today, what I do, I'm the founder of personalbrand.com and founder of Spiffy Checkouts, #1 e-commerce platform for authors, speakers, coaches, thought leaders. But who I am, I'm a leader here to spark and inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs. And so that's been my whole mission and purpose in life. It goes back to when I was 17. I had my first experience in entrepreneurship through direct sales, slinging Cutco knives. My mom bought knives from some kid 10 years prior. So I used the product every single night at dinner. And I had the opportunity to start to sell. My belief in the product was 10 out of 10. And my excitement was enthusiasm and, working the network with all my friends' moms. I had quite a bit of success at a young age. Yeah. And at the same time, I was doing Cutco part-time. I also had a part-time job. And so on one end of the spectrum, I was working 15 hours a week, making $8 an hour. When working with people that were twice my age, working half as hard, but getting paid twice as much with benefits. And then on the Cutco side, I was working about 15 hours a week, making $1,000 a week as a 17-year-old kid with no overhead. And I was like, all right, I want to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
But I'm 17. I don't know how to start a business. I don't know any of these things, but I had the desire that was what I wanted to do with my life. And because I was so successful at an early age in that organization, I was on the fast path to opening a branch office. I got invited to my first personal development, sales conference, where I got introduced to personal growth and books that changed my life. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Shortly after, I got introduced to Tony Robbins' work online. And someone said that the #1 highest paid skill set in the world is public speaking, and most people would rather die than speak on stage. And I also got to see the impact that people like Tony have. And I was like, wait, this is like a way that you can make money. No one wants to do it, and you can have an impact, and that can be your life. Like that just opened up the doors of what was possible for me. And so at that point, I made a decision, whether it takes me 5 months, 5 years, or 50 years, I want to do that with my life. And so that's a little bit about my background and what motivates me and what inspires me and a little bit about how I got started.
Okay. So I'm going to ask a question that may not go in the direction that we anticipated, but are we ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So I also heard that. That makes a ton of sense to me. But then when you grow up and you're not exposed to the principles that are taught in public speaking, you're not exposed to the Rich Dad, the Poor Dad, or Think and Grow Rich, or any of those things, then all of a sudden you start drinking it through a fire hose. You start to see some of the shifts happen, right? Where it's like, oh, if you tell me if I think differently, I'll get a different result. Okay, cool. So you start pressure testing it. It's working. So then you want to share it with other people and help them. And then you can monetize it. Here's my question. Online, right now, we are saturated with every expert on everything and that ever could exist of, I did this one time and it kind of worked, but I can deliver it with such confidence that you're going to think that it's real. How much of that do you run into as people are coming online and they come to personalbrand.com and do you see a lot of, let's call them wantrepreneurs?
Oh yeah.
Or want to be experts?
Yeah.
So how do you decipher through that, man? You've probably seen so many come through the doors.
Absolutely. I mean, through our doors specifically, we vet and we really only work on a referral basis, and we're working with 7-8-figure people that actually have successful businesses. But yeah, I mean, COVID, 2020 specifically, opened the door for a lot of people to come online and start businesses. And then they paid $25K for someone's coaching program and realized that it wasn't that good. It's like, oh, well, if they're charging $25K and they look like they know what they're doing, I can do that.
Right.
And so people who had a breakthrough of their own decided that they could just teach people the same thing, but not everyone's breakthrough is the same.
Right.
And so people are charging way more money than they should. And not really knowing what they're doing. It's the blind leading the blind out there. And right now there's a big trust recession, and things are moving extremely quickly with AI coming onto the scene, where people are objectively building some pretty cool things, but building things and just having a high ticket offer that someone buys isn't actually how you create a successful business. So a lot of people conflate revenue with progress, or high revenue numbers with actually building brand or building a business. And specifically around personal brand, there's a lot of people. One of the things I'm most grateful for is perspective. It's the most valuable thing in business. And because I've been in the same industry for 15 years, I have a lot of perspective of just seeing people come and go, seeing the people who stay, why they stay, how they operate, how people operate when they are kind of flashes in the pan.
Yeah.
Come onto the scene quick and they burn out. And ultimately, there are people that have millions of followers. They have the likes, they have the engagement, they have the views, but they don't actually have brand. They actually don't have a business behind it. And so it's really, really important to have a discerning eye, ask really good questions, and just not follow anybody that just creates confident content on social media.
Okay, I love it.
Yeah.
So my question is, what is a brand then? So they have revenue, they have likes, they have followers. What makes a brand?
It's a great question.
Okay.
If you ask 10 different people what a brand is or what a personal brand is, you're going to get 10 different answers. And it's not anyone's fault. We're just immersed in a lot of bad information getting force-fed down our algorithms in our news feeds. So what I've seen, and what most people listening might be able to relate to, is that everyone conflates brand with branding. They're not the same. And everyone conflates branding, and content marketing. They're like, hey, I'm going to teach you how to build a personal brand. Here's how to YouTube. Hey, I'm going to teach you how to build a personal brand. Here's how to blow it up on Instagram, or here's how to podcast.
Okay.
Podcasting, social media, YouTube is all top of funnel marketing, and they're related to branding, but they're not the same. And so what people don't realize, they actually have no control over their brand.
Okay.
They can only influence their brand. Branding is the process to influence your brand. So I equate it to like fish and fishing. Just because you're fishing doesn't mean that you catch fish. But when you do fishing with a guide and you do it in a very strategic way and you know what to look for, you know what bait to use, you can get fish predictably. And it's the same thing with branding and brand. When you create a brand strategy and you do branding in a very powerful way, you can actually create and manipulate your brand. Your brand is what your customers say about you. Branding is what you say about you. And when you don't get clear on your branding, you leave up to your customers' interpretation of who you are, what you do, to speak about you in whatever way they want. But when you do branding in a very strategic and powerful way, you spoon feed your customers powerful, memorable, and repeatable language so that they can start to refer more business, more ideal business your way. And that's the difference between branding, and content marketing.
So if I'm understanding correctly, in order to establish a brand, you got to get clear on what the message is of the branding, so that your brand can be established on your terms instead of what the marketplace takes their experience of you and says, oh, that's what that is.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And brand isn't just the surface level look and feel of the website or your color schemes. Those are components of branding. But oftentimes people's experience with trying to create a brand is just way too early in their entrepreneurial journey, where they don't know who an ideal customer is. They haven't had a great client. They haven't had a bad client. They're not speaking to any one vertical. They don't know who a good hire from a bad hire is. They don't even know how to attract the right talent. And so there's just this natural progression of business where you have to cut your teeth on it and try a lot of different things until you actually get to something that works. And at that point, that's when brand becomes a strategic unlock, not just to drive more higher paying customers, but actually to attract and retain talent. Making sure that everyone on your team is aligned to the same goals and the same vision and the same purpose. And you have values that aren't just do the right thing by our customer, but values that actually allow your team guardrails on how to make quality decisions. Delegating tasks in a business is something that the entrepreneurs are pretty good at, like the hard skills. But the hardest thing in entrepreneurship to scale is actually delegating quality decision making and quality thinking, and that's where brand comes into play. So brand is something that is a deep strategic imperative through the entire organization. It's not just the surface level look and feel of the website or your social media thumbnails. When you do brand correctly, it's actually something that unlocks everything in your business.
Thing that comes to mind, I have some rural roots, right? And so I've heard it said quite a few, well, we ride for the brand. So that's essentially what I'm hearing is you teach them so deeply. If I was to make a decision, or if I was to do this, or if I was to do this, you're essentially replicating yourself as an entrepreneur because you are teaching the frameworks that you use mentally and emotionally to deliver the experience.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I equate it to parenting. I'm not yet a father. God willing, that's the next chapter of my life. But I am a son, and how do you make sure that your children are oriented in the right direction? Is you're not there to make every decision for them, but you instill some good values. You instill a North Star. In business, we like to micromanage and make sure that we're getting every single minute of work out of every single employee, and mistakes are not allowed, and we can do it better and we can do it faster. And so oftentimes we just step in and fix things for our team members that are struggling versus like really helping them, guide them to the right answers. And so making space in your business for people to make mistakes, where people don't have to be perfect 100% of the time for your business to function, and providing the guardrails of decision making. So even if they make a mistake, they have to justify how and why they made that decision based off of the values. And as long as they can explain the rational thought of why they made that decision and it's in alignment with the values, all good.
Then we keep moving.
Yeah. And it's just not possible to build a scalable business when you have a team that's fearful of making mistakes. We're all going to make mistakes, but as long as we're doing it in a thoughtful way, that's how we move forward.
Okay, so here's my next question. Yeah. Do you like to go by Michael or Mike?
Michael.
Yep. Michael. Okay,
yes.
So like official, like a businessman.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
And then I throw the R in there too, just to make sure when people search me, they can find me, because there's like a boxer named Michael Hunter.
Really?
And so Michael R. Hunter is just the fastest way to
find you,
find everything that I'm up to. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I love it. So here's my next question, Michael. They're in this personal brand space, in this, we'll call it a coaching space, right?
Yeah.
Like, what's the difference between a public speaker who just is on stage and they just present? Because in my mind, those are the dudes that are making a lot of money, because it's like, hey, I'm going to pay you $100,000 for a keynote. Okay, cool. I come and I speak for an hour and I make $100,000. I accept. Like, but then you have this whole other realm, and I don't know if it with the coaches, right? Like, do you have to do both, or can you do one or the other? What have you seen?
There's no one size fits all answer.
Okay.
One of the biggest misconceptions that people have, and the biggest mistakes people make with people trying to build a personal brand, is they look at what people are doing today and they try to mimic what they're doing today, not how they got started. So people look at Gary Vee and Alex Hormozi and Cody Sanchez, and they try to imitate what Brendan Burchard. I was CMO for Brendan Burchard for 2 years. Yeah. They look at what they're doing today and they try to replicate what the strategies that they're doing today. And those people are even telling us what to do. Mm-hmm. And this was one of my biggest frustrations, because I was used to pulling what I now call stage 4 strategies, pulling all of those levers for all of my big clients. And when it came to use my superpowers on me, it didn't work. And so it forced me to go deep and like be really reflective and analyze, like, why can't I use my superpowers on myself? And I created the 4 different stages of a personal brand business and realized that I was trying to implement stage 4 strategies when, even though I had so much experience and I generated $43 million worth of revenue for my clients, myself, when I'm trying to build my personal brand and build my business, I'm starting back at stage 1 and having the humility to realize that and recognize that the strategies and the tactics at stage 1 are not the same at stage 4. Okay. So the thing I always say is that a great strategy, the right strategy, a strategy that really, really works, at the wrong time is still a bad strategy. And so much of what we're doing right now is we're getting spoon-fed all these stage 4 strategies, and we're feeling stressed and overwhelmed and anxious that we can't post 17 times a day across 9 platforms. Well, that's a stage 4 strategy. When you have a whole team that can follow you around and post and publish, that's not where you start at stage 1, 2, or 3. So much of what we help people do is identify what stage they're at, identify their skill sets, what they're naturally good at, and help them do more of that. So many people look at the gap between where they are and where they want to go, and they think that that gap is something that, some skill, some action that they're not yet taking. And 99 out of 100 times, if they just leaned more into their strengths, they would be able to close that gap and be able to hire people that fill the rest of it. So for example, if you're an author or speaker and you know that technology is not something you're good at, people often get overwhelmed, anxious, and they hesitate, self-sabotage, and delay because they're not good at technology. Okay. But they're really good at communicating their message on stage in front of an audience. Or vice versa, whatever it is, there's just so much more juice left to squeeze by leaning into your strengths than trying to force yourself to do something that you're not naturally good at.
Okay, so let's go back COVID days, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, all these people are knocking on your door being like, hey, I want to be a coach. And they don't even know what on earth their strengths are. How do you help them find their strengths?
This is something that is challenging because up until about 2025, so about a little over a year ago, we only worked with people that were 7, 8-figure thought leaders.
Okay.
2025, we started doing our live events. We realized that we had a lot of knowledge, information, expertise, and guidance that could help people earlier in the process. And so, so much of what we're doing now is helping people who are already started. It's very challenging to help give someone answers or guide someone to go from 0 to 1. Mm-hmm. But once you're already in the game, once you already know what your kind of soul calling, mission, purpose, how you want to impact the world, it's a lot easier to optimize that. And so that's really where we focus is people that are already in the game, already have clients, are trying to figure out how do they build a personal brand in a scalable way, because that's the one thing I firmly believe is that a lot of people are running a 6-figure business with a 5-figure business model. Mm-hmm. And you can hustle, grit, and grind your way to 7 figures, but you can't to 8. So there's a lot of people that have huge ambitions to build an 8-figure business, but the way that they're operating is just based off of the hustle and grind that got them to the first stage of success, but what got them there won't get them to the next level. And so that's really where we come in and help people reset, retool their offering, build a sustainable business model that they don't have to be the sacrifice to their business, and actually help them have the impact they're here to have.
Okay. So now are you running personal brands solo, or do you got a partner in it, or what are you doing there?
Yeah, so I have a business partner in both of my companies, Jeremy Abraham, and then specifically in personal brand, Jonathan Gray. He's got Fortune 1000 brand experience. He's a creative director working with household names, doing brand campaigns for billion-dollar companies. And so we're bringing that level of creative talent and brand strategy to the personal brand space.
Sweet, man. So now personal brand, it can work for an individual or an entity. Either one, right? Like you can take an entity, like an actual business of like a widget, or you can take a person and say, here's your brand story, here's who you are, this is how we get it to the marketplace, this is what we're communicating memorably, strategically, repeatably.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Our process is bringing more traditional branding to personal brands, but our process works for any type of company. We believe that, especially with AI coming onto the scene, this is the weirdest time in the entire world of like living in this era where technology increases exponentially, but then we have something like AI that is going to exponentially increase that exponential growth. So we live in this like double exponential curve, and we just can't comprehend that as humans. And so to even be able to predict what 3 or 5 years out is going to look like is actually
crazy,
impossible.
Yeah.
But I firmly believe that as we catapult into this technological age, people are going to desire human connection. And so where we're going with what we're doing is really doubling down on like founder-led brands. So whether it's a founder-led home services company, a founder-led e-commerce company, people are going to want to buy from someone who has a story that they can resonate with, that they can trust that the product is actually what it is. That's really what brand is. It's trust, it's emotional resonance, it's connecting with people in a way where they feel something and want to buy and come back and buy again.
It's true. People buy off of emotion, so they got to feel it.
Yes.
That makes a ton of sense.
And really quick on that too, because I mean, coming into, man, when I was 17, I was doing direct sales. Like I didn't even understand marketing. Like how do I even sell something if I'm not across the table from someone like writing up an order? And then I kind of learned the value of marketing. But even up until maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I didn't really understand the power of brand and like what brand actually is. Ultimately, I believe every single problem in a business is a revenue problem, because if you have the revenue, you would be able to hire the consultant, hire the team member, solve the problem.
Right.
Well, every single revenue problem in your business is actually a brand problem, because if every time that you have a dip in revenue, you can't hire the person, well, there's something happening further upstream.
Yeah.
So with that, if you follow that logic, every single problem in your business is actually a brand problem. Talent attraction, talent retention, revenue, getting the right customers in the door, having customers pay a premium for your products or services, everything comes down to brand.
Okay, makes sense. So in my world, sales cures all, right? It's a whole Mark Cuban idea of like you can sell. Well, people buy off of emotion, and if they don't, your logic makes sense to me, because if they're buying off emotion but they don't have emotional resonance with what the brand is, how are you going to separate yourself from the noise? Makes sense.
Because like every sales dude knows that the easiest sale is a referral.
Oh yeah.
And so when you dial in brand correctly and you have clear, concise, powerful language as the filter on the front end, almost every single lead should feel like a warm lead.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest mistakes I see in the industry right now is everyone's trying to get cheaper cost per lead, cheaper cost per customer acquisition cost. Like I want to pay more. I don't want to have my sales team, run around with their hair on fire, back to back to back to back calls with really crummy leads.
Yeah.
Like I want them to know that when something shows up on their calendar, it's actually qualified, and that they actually know that they can really lean into closing that deal.
Right.
And so I think there's a natural tendency to you want to have efficient spend on acquiring leads, but it's also not about just filling everyone's calendar, chasing around all these half
activity,
qualified
not
leads.
accomplishment.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that makes sense to me. Okay, so the reason I asked if you had partners, I'll just be direct.
Yeah.
I noticed the ring on your hand, and you told me before. Talk to me about your wife's involved in it, right?
Yes, exactly.
So what does she do? There's a dynamic there. It's been said, happy wife, happy life. I think that's ridiculous.
Me too.
And what I mean by that is, yes, you want your wife to be happy, but that's ultimately her choice. Can you provide an environment where it's easier for her to feel safe so she can feel happy? 100%. But it's still her choice to be happy. But how is it working with her? Is it harder to keep her happy in that environment? Is it what do you notice working with your wife?
So my wife and I have the most epic love story. We'll save that for another time. My wife is an absolute badass in her own right.
Yeah.
She's been a youth motivational speaker for 20 years.
Is that how you met her? She came into your brand world to be like, hey, brand me, I'm a speaker.
I wish. I don't have the client conversion story.
Okay.
But we met at a personal development event in 2010. She was already speaking in high schools, and I knew that was what I wanted to do with my life, and so we naturally connected over that mutual passion. Really, us working in the same business together is a relatively new thing within the last couple of years. Nothing is more fulfilling than being on mission, on purpose with your partner, working in the same business. I see a lot of my friends, like both, partners are entrepreneurs, but they're kind of doing different things, or they might not be fully aligned, or they might not be fully on fire for the same things. And so I really believe that life is a two-person sport.
Okay.
And when you can be building the same thing with your spouse, with your significant other, with your wife, nothing is more fulfilling and nothing is more exciting than that. And so it comes with its own unique challenges, but so much of it is just communication and making sure that you have time together outside of the business. And Natalie and I, we go on walks every single night. Sometimes we call it together alone time, or sometimes we're just scrolling on our phones, headphones in, just walking side by side, and we're just getting the time that we need. And so both of us have a lot of respect for each other's needs, and it's just about communication and not having just drawing those boundaries. But again, as an entrepreneur, especially nowadays, like it takes a lot of time and energy and effort, and your partner needs to be on board. And as a man, it's really important for you to be clear about what you need in a relationship, and be able to calmly and clearly articulate that to your partner. And that was one of the things that I was able to do with Natalie. So Spark Notes, we dated for 4.5 years. We went our separate ways. I started dating someone else, got married to someone else. God moved mountains, got me out of that situation. After my divorce, Natalie came back into my life. And when Natalie came back into my life, I was just very clear, like, I don't want a boss babe. I don't want another entrepreneur. I want somebody that supports me on my mission and whatnot. And the biggest misconception in relationships is that love and passion is the thing that holds it together, and nothing could be further from the truth. The only thing that holds a relationship together is mutual respect. And so I was able to I finally had clarity on what I wanted in a relationship after a failed marriage, and I had a list of my non-negotiables, and they weren't outlandish, crazy things. And Natalie checked a lot of the boxes, and there's a couple things that I was able to calmly and clearly articulate. Hey, these are my needs in a wife, and if we're going to progress in our relationship, these are some things that are important to me. And she was able to do the same for me. And there should not be anything that's massive character changing things. I made that mistake in my first marriage. Just going way out of my way, people pleasing, became a shell of myself. That's not the recipe for success. But standing in your power and each person having enough respect for the other person to make small adjustments and being able to do it in a calm, clear conversation, not when emotions are high. And that's usually when most people have those types of conversations, is when they're already triggered and upset. So that's a big key.
Dude, you said it like 4 times, and I love it. So calm communication.
Yes.
And clear. Calm, clear communication. I like that. So give me an example of that. Let's say, let's rewind just a little bit. She's speaking in school. Does she still speak?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So we lead our workshops together. Me, Natalie, and Jonathan lead a 3.5-day workshop called Brand and Business Breakthrough. Natalie is a world-class coach. She speaks on stages about transformation and actually creating transformation that sticks.
Okay.
And so she's the secret sauce behind everything we do at personalbrand.com. Because there's a 3-legged stool, especially for personal brands, but for any founder. And it's brand, business, and being. Brand messaging, business model, and identity. So what we found is that oftentimes we help people dial in their brand messaging, and they're able to now charge a premium. They're getting more higher paying clients, but their business model can't sustain it. They're already operating at 110% capacity. So it does no service to a business to just call in more higher paying clients if their business model can't hold it. So we have to address the business model, make some small tweaks, create some efficiencies there. And what we found is that we do the brand and the business model tweaks. Well, there's one piece left. We remove all excuses for that business to grow. But if you don't focus on yourself and identity and being, and you're not ready to step into your next level of responsibility, wealth, abundance, leadership, then you're going to hesitate, self-sabotage, and delay. And so those 3 pieces, brand is Jonathan's expertise, business is my expertise, and the being identity piece is Natalie's expertise. And that being piece is the thing that unlocks everything else to allow our clients to have massive success.
Dude, I like this. I like it a lot. So here's my question. You've said it a couple times. Hesitate, self-sabotage, or delay. What's the difference between hesitate and delay?
That is a good question. I think that hesitating is more of like a freeze motion, and like delaying is just like avoidance.
I know I got to do it. I'm just not doing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like hesitate, it's like,
I don't want to look in
there.
Like
you have an opportunity that comes in, and it's a speaking opportunity, and there's a timeline, and you hesitate and you miss it. Versus like an action that you know you need to take, a hire that you know that you need to hire, but
or a fire,
or fire, like all these different things, right? So
that makes sense. Okay, so this is good. I'm glad that business model, brand, being. We've had a lot of conversations on this show that everything is at an identity level, the being level. Because if the being can't match those other 2 things, everything breaks. Self-sabotage, hesitate, delay, all that stuff. What have you found? Have you seen that these flash-in-the-pan people that come into the personal development space, and they're really big, and they're everywhere, and then all of a sudden you're like, where'd they go? It's probably a being problem. Is that what you say?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably all three.
Okay.
Not having a sustainable business model. There's all this hype in the marketplace about grow, 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 scale, 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 hustle, hustle, hustle.
Yeah.
And slow and steady is how you build something that lasts. Like what gets built fast is usually on a very faulty foundation, and it's just going to crumble. We see this all the time. It's not unique to personal brands. It's all types of businesses. Like people have an expectation that building a successful business is always up and to the right, when it actually looks more kind of like a little bit like a roller coaster going up and to the right. Like you have to have periods of growth and actively pull your foot off the gas to reinforce the foundation to support your next level of growth.
Yeah.
And so people that come on the scenes that are flashes in the pan or have the illusion of being like massively successful on Instagram or something that just kind of fizzle out, they're usually missing the mark on every single level.
That makes a ton of sense to me. Does it ever happen, have you seen where somebody's being or their identity outgrows the brand? They built a brand when they had this identity, and this is who I am, this is what I do. They build the brand, start to have the business model supports it, then new experiences come into their scope of what's possible, and all of a sudden they're like, no, that's not me anymore.
Absolutely.
What happens there?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually when we get most of the calls, is like people that reach the first mountain of success and they're trying to figure out what their second summit looks like. And one of my best friends, Dr. Anthony Balduzzi, he's one of our clients right now, and it's very much that space. He's Fit Father Project, YouTube channel, 800,000 subscribers, helped 60,000 men come through his program, reclaim their lives, lose tons of weight, better relationship with their family, and he's called to his next level of leadership. And so we're helping him figure out how can he step into his next level of leadership, like really get into all of the specialized medicine and really cool cutting edge stuff that he's always geeked out on, but actually do more keynote speaking on that, write a book on that, do smaller group, higher priced retreats and things of this nature that really doesn't fit the price point and the business model he has over here. And so those are the things that we love. Those are the problems we love solving, because we don't want to sabotage what's already working. But how do we create that through line of messaging that elevates the person above what they've done so they can seamlessly step into the thing they want to do next?
Okay. So of all the people you've seen, worked with personally, or just observed and watched them go through the journey, who, and this is a loaded question, who would you say has done it the best? Who has created that through line so that as they get into the pit, then they go to the peak, then they get into the pit, they go to the next peak? Who has created that trajectory where they're like, oh, he's doing it right?
This is a challenging question. I don't know transparently that I have a really good answer for it. I think every one of the big household names that we know has navigated those seasons well. But those are also the outliers. And there's a lot of people that navigate those very, very well, but we would know, no one would ever know their names. And those are a lot of our clients too. And this is really where one of the big messages that I'm really passionate about is just like redefining success.
Okay.
So that's a personal definition, not something that's just spoon-fed to you through Instagram or material possessions or all the brainwashing that's occurred from, television, music videos, movies. It's like, what does success mean to you? And like indexing against that. There's so many people blindly chasing revenue numbers, blindly building a business to have an 8-figure exit, thinking that everything that they desire is waiting for them at the end of that outcome, and not experiencing any of the benefits and qualities of joy and happiness and life along the way.
I love that.
And one of the things that we orient our clients to is everything that you desire, everything that you value can't be waiting for you at an artificial finish line. You have to build and architect a business and a life that allows you to experience what you value on the path to achieving your higher, bigger picture goals.
Okay. So, Michael, what's your definition of success? What are you indexing against?
I mean, my definition of success is impact.
Yeah.
Specifically, I'm a part of Genius Network and had a breakthrough on the concept of wealth. There's so many people out there that I think have like gimmicky, adaptations of wealth, of like your wealth is your health, and like all these like really funny things. And like wealth is a very specific word that means a very specific thing. And yes, I get where those people are going with it. I don't mean to be heavy-handed with it. Like health is so important, and if you don't have health, like nothing matters, right?
Yeah.
But wealth is having more money than you need, the time to enjoy it with the people you care about most. And so there's so many people that have the money but not the time. doctors, lawyers.
Yeah.
A lot of people make a lot of money, but they have to keep showing up. And then people that have the time are often sacrifice their entire life, sacrifice all of their relationships. Their kids don't like them. They don't have any friends because they're so myopic in their business. They actually don't have anybody to enjoy their wealth with. And even people that have the time and have great relationships, their family members, their friends are busy working jobs. So that's where like you turn into a mentor. You turn into somebody that can help them make money moves and help them invest and help create freedom for the people around you so that you can create a quality life. And so I see wealth as being something very squarely in the financial realm, but there's 3 components of it. And wealth is, again, having more money than you need, the time to enjoy it with the people that you love the most.
Dude, that's good, man. So that's success inside of the wealth realm. Right?
Yeah.
What's success inside of your marriage? What does that look like? Now that you and Natalie are like, we had a mountain moved, we removed a mountain, and then I don't know who she is. I'm sure she's great. And then now you have Natalie. What does success look like there?
Natalie and I are so mission impact oriented. It's really what differentiates us in the personal brand space, where there's just so many people are chasing likes, followers, flashy cars, flashy houses, and we could do that. We could spend $30,000 on ads next week and pack out a ballroom here in Scottsdale with 400 people if we want. We choose to do deep work. 15 people in our workshops, 20 people in our workshops, people that opt in, people that are heart-centered, mission-led. And so success with Natalie and I is just us being on purpose, on mission, on the same page. Waking up every single morning happy and excited. Every single morning I wake up and I roll over and cuddle with Natalie and I say, I'm so grateful to wake up next to you. Like that's success.
Awesome.
And again, going back to there's so much. We could do a whole podcast just on relationships, but there's so much backlash out there in the marketplace about women being submissive to their husbands, and I think there's just a misconception or a misunderstanding of what that means. Like submissive means submission, like under the mission. And so and it's not under it meaning like superior to, like Natalie is my equal. Natalie is somebody that I couldn't do what I do without her. And us being on the same page under the mission and calling that God has on my life, that's also a calling on her life, like that is the synergy of a beautiful relationship. And to me, like that is success. When you get to wake up every single morning, you get to have an impact. You have testimonial after testimonial of people saying that you're changing their lives. Like that is success. And I'm grateful that I get to do that with Natalie every single day.
That's a great answer, dude. That was incredible. Great answer. Okay. A couple times you have referenced God. God is great. He's good. He's in everything. My question for that is, what does success look like with God?
This is something that I don't yet know how to really articulate it, so I might not be super clean with how we're doing this, but one of the aspects of what we're doing at personalbrand.com is like personalbrand.com. I look at it as like my ministry. Okay. We don't force anything on anyone. We meet people where they're at. Natalie has a deep spiritual background. Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior, and we help people orientate their goals of what they want to accomplish with a personal brand, doing the exact same things, just under the authority of God, where my personal story is I thought I could carry everything. All the problems in my business, all of our clients' problems, all our customers' problems, I'm Mr. Fix-It. I can do it. And it broke me. And put me on my knees the only way God could get my attention. Literally on my knees, the first time I ever prayed on my knees, and God answered. And I realized that today, now, I have 10 times more weight on my shoulders than I've ever had. 10 times more responsibility, more things, more unanswered texts in my, in my message inbox, more unanswered emails than ever before. And I broke under a quarter of what I'm experiencing now. So it's really not the weight that you're carrying, it's how you're carrying it. And when you realize it's not yours to carry, and the only thing that you can do is show up present, fully present, do the best you can, and do everything out of service, and everything changes. So it's just like one of the biggest things that part of our ministry is that, like, your business and your faith are not two separate things. Like, worship, praise is not reserved to a specific day of the week at a specific time at a specific building. and really helping people bridge that gap and realizing that if you have a calling on your heart, like that is your ministry. Your business can be your ministry.
Yeah.
Every single step I take, every single breath I'm breathing, like I do it out of faith. I do it out of service. And so when you have that level of surrender, of humility, of compassion for other people, it's amazing how much energy you have. It's amazing how much further you can run, how much harder you can run. Like there's so much more left in the human spirit than that people are currently aware of.
Yeah.
And so that's just a little bit about how I think about faith and a small taste of my testimony. But it's everything.
Dude, that's powerful, man. And it speaks to actual truth, because we've been told my yoke is easy, my burden is light. And if a quarter of what you were carrying was breaking you and now it's tenfold, cool, man. I'm not carrying it. I'm just doing this.
Yeah.
And that's powerful. Another really good answer. Great answers across the board.
Yeah, and I mean, transparently, we took a break from personal brand for a few years, focused 100% on our software company, Spiffy Checkouts. 18 months ago, we cleared $1 billion of processing volume through our platform, which is
Sweet.
In the grand scheme of payments, like almost nothing, but it's not nothing,
Yeah.
We run payments for like Amy Porterfield, Darren Hardy, Jay Shetty, Matthew Hussey, and others, Jefferson Fisher. And so when you have a software company, recurring revenue, and you're a founder, like, again, I'm not loaded. It's a bootstrap software company. We're doing really well. I didn't have to do any of this personal brand stuff. It's like all mission, calling, purpose, fulfillment. And so when you're operating from that level, first getting to financial stability and then deciding to do something, even when you don't have to do it logically, but you have to do it from a soul, mission, purpose.
I get it.
That's the sauce.
I love it, dude. So what would you say the ingredients to that sauce are? Because a lot of these people that are watching the podcast, they're still in the grind. They're still in the rat race. And so to actually slow down and be able to listen and say, I'm going to do this not because I have to, but because I have to. Like, it's a calling. God is saying move.
Yep.
What's been your recipe for that? How did you get there?
What we advise people to do in our workshops is first to get that personal definition of success. You have to have something that's personal, not artificial, not something that is someone else's imaginary success. You cannot trust what you see on social media. You cannot trust what you see on social media. You don't know if that car is rented.
Say it a third time.
Yeah.
So, for real, you cannot trust it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm lucky. I've had the conversation with people on stage versus off stage. Like I get the back of the back of house conversations. You have to get clear on what success is for you, what that looks like. And then the second piece, everyone wants to jump to strategies and tactics and how do I get there? The second piece is you need to get radically honest with where you're at. There are two critical points to GPS, where you're going and where you're at. Yeah. Without getting extremely clear on both of those markers, you cannot develop a good strategy to get there.
Yeah.
People want to skip ahead. Everyone thinks they're more advanced than they are. And it really comes down to building skill sets that lay a solid foundation to get you to where you want to go. We saw this demonstrated a few years back. I've never really used this as an example before, but I think it's an example a lot of people will be able to relate to given your audience, with like Grant Cardone.
Yeah.
With his undercover billionaire, right? He spent decades building skill sets, plucked out, changed identity, dropped into small town, and was able to build it back just as fast. And so everyone's looking for the get rich quick, but how do you build the skill sets that ensure you get rich for certain? And that's really where the secret sauce is. And that's where my story started. I got really good at sales. I think starting if you have a calling to start a business, starting a business is the worst possible first step, because you have to product, distribution, manufacturing, marketing, like all these different things. I didn't have to worry about all that. I just got to get good at a sales presentation and relationships and like looking across the table, reading people's energy. Are they interested or are they not? Do I need to crack a joke? Do I need to lean in for the sale? And then I got good at marketing, and then I got good at copywriting and website design and all these other skill sets where a lot of those skill sets are irrelevant now. You just do it with code, but the ability to build skill sets that are relevant to where you want to go is how you actually do it.
It's a great answer, dude. Another good answer. Okay. Really good, dude. Really, really, really good. Okay. Here's my last question. And this is a question we end every single podcast with. It's, if there was one thing that you could share with the audience so they could be more fully sold on themselves. Because the whole idea of this podcast is like, you got to buy into yourself, dude. Not in an arrogant way, not in a like conceited way, but in a, I'm a son of God, or I'm a daughter of God. I have a purpose. I'm doing this. Like, well, how would you sell someone on themselves? What's the one piece of advice?
No one's coming to save you. I mean, having that radical honesty. I spent years of my life searching for the mentor that would see me, would hear me, and that human doesn't exist. You have that calling. You're seeking that person because you're supposed to be that person. And the pain and the struggle that you're experiencing right now is refinement for that person that you are seeking for, so you become that person. And so I think the more honest that you can get with yourself and the more that you can lean into the struggle and the pain, the better you get. And in the future, humans aren't going to have to do hard things. We already don't. We already get DoorDash to our door, entertainment, 2 clicks of a button for pennies on the dollar. You don't have to do anything hard to survive. But to actually thrive, to actually experience life in all that it's meant to be experienced, you have to do hard things. And you have to throw yourself into struggle, and you have to throw yourself into difficult things. And so I think it's natural as humans to, myself included, I still see myself dancing with some challenging things here or there, but every single time I remind myself, like, leaning into the struggle. No one's coming to save me. The struggle is what's going to make me the better version of myself, and that's why I'm here. That's the sauce.
Dude, that's powerful. So that's very relevant, very powerful. And the first thing that came to my mind as you said that was, well, you're right, no one is coming to save you. He already did. Like, Jesus Christ has already done it, and he set the example of what you've got to do. And he's also made it clear you don't have to suffer, but suffering is different than struggle.
Yes.
Like, the struggle is where the strength happens, right? The suffering is where it's like, you're doing it wrong. You're for sure doing it wrong, because he tells you to lift up your head and be glad. Like, so I like that, dude. That's like,
and that's also why I specifically said no man is here to be that leader for you. And Jesus is the only man who has suffered to the extremes of betrayal, of physical suffering, mental suffering, financial, like all the different suffering. He is the only God that can relate to every single thing that we are going through as men. Right. And to really lean into that personal relationship. And it doesn't have to be going to church. It doesn't have to be even reading the Bible. But like sitting in praise and surrender, getting quiet, being still, and just letting God and Jesus speak through you, asking him to speak to you, praising and asking for not the outcomes that you want, but for the skills and the mentality and the character that's required to get what you want. So one of the prayers I always say is, God, give me the strength to do hard things. Give me the wisdom to do the right hard things. Sharpen my, expand my awareness so I can see everything as it is, and sharpen my discernment to recognize good from evil. And that simple prayer is something that if you say that every single day for even just 6 months, you'll be surprised at what that can do for you.
Well, and the magic isn't even in the prayer, right? It's simply in the surrender. It's in the, dude, I can't carry this by myself. I got crushed. Help me. And he's got you. But then asking specific questions, right? Like, sharpen my discernment, because you cannot trust anything you see on social media. Like, we got to know that we got to trust the truth, and God is the truth.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
powerful, dude. I like that.
And there's a lot of people working really, really hard, and this is something that took me a long time, is like motivation, speed, execution are not all are not all inherently positive. You can be really motivated, working really hard, going really fast in the completely wrong direction. And so that's where it's like allow me the strength to do hard things, but give me the wisdom to do the right hard things.
Right.
Give me the discernment to know what is good from evil. What like make it so obvious in the physical realm what's meant for me that it can't be denied. Every time I go to a business event, a networking event, I'm like constantly, hey, God, put people on my path. Make it so obviously clear that this is somebody that I'm meant to serve.
Yeah.
And anybody who is not of your spirit, who is not aligned, repel them. I make sure that they do not come into my path. And so, even though consciousness is rising on the planet and some of these concepts are starting to become more mainstream, we absolutely are in a spiritual battle. And especially if you want to win in business, there are forces that might even bring the money and the fame and the fortune, but at what cost?
Yeah. Interesting, man. I love it. Thank you for coming on, dude.
Absolutely. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, this was a great episode. Is there anything else you want to add?
I think we covered it all.
Yeah, you crushed it, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, if anybody wants to learn more about what we're up to, my personal website, michaelrhunter.com. Again, that's michaelrhunter.com. Personalbrand.com. People can learn about what we're up to there. And other than that, man, just thank you so much for sharing your platform, allowing me to hopefully say a couple things that were valuable to a few people. And if anybody wants to reach out or has any questions, Instagram @Michael R. Hunter is a great way just to get a hold of me.
Perfect. I love it, dude. Thank you, Michael R. Hunter, for coming on.